November 6th, and we are in the Civic Center. And here we have Macarius Mandregan Sr., Garrett Plutnikoff, and myself, Aquilina Lestenkoff. And Mac, is it okay if we record you?
Sure.
Okay. So how about maybe first tell us about anything with your childhood you feel like is important. Your name, if you had a nickname, brothers, sisters, parents, just your family, about your family.
Well, when you're a kid, everything is always fun, you know.
Right. Yeah. So your parents.
Tracy, I'm a son of Tracy and Ludmila Mandregan. My mom's maiden name was Bordikovsky. She was Peter and Alexandra Bordikovsky's daughter, related to Thomas and Dennis and all those. Their dad, George Bordikovsky. That was my mom's older brother.
And then your siblings?
My siblings, I'm the second youngest of 8 children with Tracy and Ludmila Mandregan. I was second youngest. My youngest sister passed away several years ago, and I have 2 other older sisters that passed away a few years ago as well, you know, with under 10 years ago anyway, and then older brother. Only one older brother, he was in the military, his name was Harry, and he passed away quite a while ago. Yeah, so.
And kids, you have kids.
I have kids. I have 8 kids. Yeah, I won't name them all, but yeah.
Why? Because you can't remember?
10 grandchildren and 3 great-grandchildren. So,
Okay. And do you remember how you got your name? Did you?
I don't know. Somebody says it's a Greek name, Macarius. That's a Greek name, but there was a Father Braun of Macarius or whatever, you know. They said my name, probably after him, probably had to do something with him.
Is it close to the
Or I think it's close to the Saints. My birthday is close to that Saints Day,
Yeah.
I guess, you know, so.
It kind of made it easy, for
I-
people
I
not having
think so,
to pick
yeah.
names. Like,
Yeah.
whenever this baby is born, it'll have this. So I'm not going to bother to pick.
Yeah, so I think they just must have got it from, you know, the priest at the time or whoever, you know, the church names and stuff, because I don't know if they had church calendars back then, you know.
Yeah.
I just saw Juliana got her name too. So why Juliana? Well, it's because it's close to the holiday.
Yeah,
Her name's Day.
I like that too. Mine, I was born right on St. Aquilina's Day. So I used to feel cheated because you hear about kids having a names day tea party and then birthday party, and mine was all in one day. So I didn't get 2
Oh, it
parties.
was?
Yeah.
Well, I never had a names day party, and I never remembered my names day until my mom, you know, she told me, hey, your names day's on February 1st. Or so she would say Sonic Ilum on that day, and I never paid attention to, you know, because we weren't Allied speaking kids back then, or, you know, we just pretty much started to figure out, you know, what they were hollering at you about, you know. I was the kid that's going to be answering, responding right away when they call for you, you know, the parents, so, yeah, so.
So while you were growing up, do you like, did you have like chores? Can you, if you want, could talk about like remembering having chores or having restrictions or having to be home? What was that like for you?
Yes, that was like, it was like going to school those days, you know. If you did something wrong, something bad or whatever, they'll spank you or they'll whip you with a string or whatever. But my dad, he wouldn't really, you know, get upset when he's listening as my mom's talking to me, you know, and why did I do this at school this day, and you know, and then I go on and tell what led to that point in school or whatever. And sometimes I'd get spanked at home for what I did in school, even though I already got spanked in the school. And the school happened to be about this location, up in that corner right there in the old school, you know, back. So when they opened a new school anyway.
73.
73, something like that. I was already out to junior high, high school then. And, yeah, I wasn't here when they moved down there. But I was part of the old school group, you know. I think we were probably the last, you know, group, my age group, you know. And so that year they pulled out of there is the next year or whatever, the class below me, you know, they were going to the school down there. So,
Yeah. So that was through 8th grade.
Yeah,
In this
yeah.
school that was right here where the Civic Center is.
Yep.
So you pretty much went through school, all your school years in the old school.
Old school, yeah.
Yeah.
I never went into new school down here.
Mm.
And then my mom and dad were having marital problems back then too, just around my junior high school years. So yeah, I was out.
Mm. Did you go to school in Anchorage?
Yeah.
You did for a while?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Junior high.
Yeah.
Then I went to Mount Etchicum my 9th grade year, and it didn't work out. You know, I was too little then, 9th grade, and but I went back to Mount Etchicum my sophomore year because that year, my 9th grade year, I grew, so I was big enough to go up there and deal with the bullies. You know, everywhere has bullies, whether you know, I worked in the school here too, so you know, the honest, nice, and quietest people are the ones to watch out for. I mean, children to watch out for. You know, you think, oh no, they didn't do stuff like that. And so, as working there, I told my kids, you know, I want to listen to both sides of the story. I'm not gonna always believe you. You know, I'm going to listen to both the stories. You know, so watch what you do. You know. And, if you're with some troublemakers and trouble happens, you're part of the troublemakers, you know, because whoever was there was part of it, you know.
So when you were in school, what did you do for fun, like after school? What were the things that you remember that were like
Play out if I didn't have my chores. You were asking about chores. Yes, we had chores to do, you know, cleaning at home as well. So sometimes help around the school too. Yeah, so.
And you didn't live very far from the school.
No, it's just right down there, down the road. We're the top, second, third row. First row down there above Old Bar, house number 1. That's where I lived.
So you didn't have to walk far to go
Yeah.
to school. Or
Yeah.
church too.
Yeah, until I was 10 or 11. Then we was 1967, 68 that we moved to house 24 down at the bottom, you know, on King Street. Yeah, so that was my grandma's house. She owned that
House
one.
1.
Yeah, and my mom, you know, after my grandma passed on, my mom inherited that house.
So Mom grew up in that house.
My mom. Yeah, I'm not sure where she also, you know, she had a hard life. I mean, my mom had a hard life, and she was, you know, didn't always stay, you know, with my grandparents and stuff. She ended up staying with my aunt, my mom's older sister, ended up, you know, taking care of her too, you know. She
Yeah.
was always out, you know, getting water and stuff, all the things on the stormy days. It seemed like she'd always talk about that kind of stuff. Going to the well and getting the water, you know, pumping the water before you had running water then and stuff.
Yeah.
Did you ever have to do those kinds of chores too? Go fishing?
No, not get water. We had, as long as I can remember, you know, we had running water. You know, that was I was only born in the late 50s, you know.
So, but during that time there was still coal.
There was still coal stove,
coal
yeah.
stoves.
Yeah, we got our first oil stove too
Mm.
that had a fan on it, you know, to blow the air, you know. It was a little upright stove. they were, they were okay. They're warm in that area,
Mhm.
so. Yeah.
Not upstairs.
Well, upstairs wouldn't be that freezing unless you you ran out of oil or something, you know.
Mm.
Dad would tell me that he had to light the stove when he was young too. First thing in the morning, light the stove.
Yeah.
Mm. Yeah.
My mom and dad would talk about them like my dad having to wake up early in the morning and going to the government officials' house and lighting their heat for them, make sure it's warm in their house before they wake up, for work.
What was his work through his times?
My dad, he ran the mechanics machine shop for the government.
Mm.
And as soon as he was 55, they let him retire, so.
Yeah.
That's the mechanic shop right near the harbor.
Yeah, with the arch roof on there
That's been there for ages.
for a long
Right.
time, yeah.
I was just looking at the to the air compressor. To people used to stop there and air their
That
tires
little
up.
hose
It's
thing's
still
still
sitting
there, that wheel,
Yeah.
that rim, they used to
looked at it
mount that
today.
on there. They
We're
used to have that
stopping.
available for the community,
Mhm.
if you need air for your vehicle.
It was
just go
nice and
there.
close. Everybody could go
Yeah.
there
Mm.
before the tire gets low. You can make it there. So, yeah, types of. Did you have curfews? You had to be home
Oh,
for
yeah.
meal times or games.
So your original question before that one was, what kind of fun stuff did I like to do
Mhm.
after school and stuff?
Yeah.
Make sure I get home on time for dinner. We had time before 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I think that's about the average time, the school has gotten out and stuff. And the playground was right here, so you hung around right up here and played on the tingling or the sliding board or the merry-go-round, stuff like that. So it's fun. Or go sliding, all the way from here down to the bottom of the store.
Or even towards the machine shop.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that way too. You get more rocks that way, though. It seemed like it had more rocks.
Mm,
Little stone.
yeah. What were meal times like? And some people had main meals at lunchtime, some at dinner.
Yeah,
at
dinner time
supper
mostly. Yeah,
time. Yeah.
but we had lunch too.
Mm. Go home from school for lunch.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about friends? Who'd you hang out with? Who were your classmates?
Like Simeon Swetzoff was one of my classmates. David Kanoff, Joanna Merculia, Artemi, Paul Shablin. Paul Shablin, Richard. And then when we got up to the junior high area, that's when it was with Richard, Robert.
Start to mix the grades, yeah.
So that age group.
Where did Howard fall in? Was he younger than you, or Howard?
Howard was a year older than me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I don't know why he came to
Bordakovsky,
mind.
yeah.
Yeah,
I thought about him the other day too.
yeah, yeah. What type of things kids get into back then? At those times that you remember, like.
Lots of playing out together, having fun, And then as you got older, you got more mischievous and stuff like that. And if you played out, you had a curfew. And I had a curfew, I used to come home at 9 o'clock, After I moved down there, I don't remember staying out at my first house number 1 on the island. I don't remember staying out that late.
Mm.
Unless I was out with my older sisters or brothers, sliding and stuff, winter time and stuff. Yeah. But then when it got around the 60s time, 1960s and stuff, and singing over here in the school. We'd have our Christmas programs and stuff like that, you know, Christmas season and stuff, and it was always exciting for me because, you know, I was fascinated with the old musicians that were here before me, and just to watch them play and listen to them and learn how to tap your feet to the beat. Yeah, so a lot of that all happened at City Hall, you know. Rec Hall, they call it, Recreation Hall.
Yeah.
Rec, short for recreation. And, that would be my favorite thing to do, is just, I wouldn't be running around, I'd be watching the band, you know, what they're doing on the guitars and the snare drum. There was this Dan Krukoff Sr. was that drum player, and Jonik Ostakov, you know, and yeah, was a guitar player, and Steve Hapoff. And then there was some other younger guys would come in summertime when they came back from school. And I remember George Rukavishnikov Senior, not senior, but George Rook, Gally's husband, would play guitar too there. And so those are the guys I watched. And then I didn't realize, you know, too much, but, you know, as I was going through those years, there was my older sisters and their age groups that were out to high school in Manechcom, Chimawa, and stuff like that. And so the first year I realized this was going on. After that, I've always, you know, looked forward to summertime when the music group came back. You know, the high school guys are playing music and stuff like that. So that, but in kindergarten, I remember I was on the stage and I was singing the Christmas songs and stuff like that. And that year, I don't know if it was kindergarten year, or it was just close around that time when I heard the Beatles music too and stuff. And I started singing Christmas songs, and I, you know, bending my notes, singing, you know, and the teacher's looking up and who's doing that, you know, bending your notes. And it was me. And after the song, he says, who's singing that different way? I didn't teach you how to sing that. It's me. Okay, yeah, we'll have to talk later. So, you know, they weren't always polite, nice, you know. You're a little out of order, you know. They'll tap you on the hand or slap you on the wrist with a string or something. And, yeah. But music, you know, after I, you know, going to Christmas programs, singing and seeing these old guys play music and stuff, that's when I got hooked onto music and wanting to play music, and did everything that I could to play music. And I hadn't had my own guitar for a long time. I don't think it was till I think like 1968 or something like that. And I think that I have evidence that where my guitar was from, you know. Yeah. And but after I went to high school, I never found that guitar. I don't know. My mom, she did anything with it. It was an electric guitar. It had a metal body. I mean, it wasn't it was a metal body, yeah, and stuff. And yeah, and it was tinny, but, you know. And then later on in life, not too many years ago, I found one that looked almost like it. And so I have that, and it still plays good and stuff like that. And, yeah.
So I hear they used to have like practices. The band would have practices somewhere.
They would have they would practice over there too, you know.
Would you
like
go to
that.
those?
No, I never. I could listen to them outside and stuff at Stomp Room. That's in the middle of the city hall. That where that ramp is right there. That used to be the Stomp Room. That's where the singers, Lestenkov, Merkulyev, Krukov, and Lakhanov guys, you know, they would.
Kozlov.
Yeah, Kozlov guys would go play music. Yeah.
So that stomp room was later and not really used like that by Dan Krukoff or the other band members?
No, they always played up there. I don't remember ever Dan Krukoff and the older guys you're talking about, older than them.
They've been
No,
upstairs.
they've always been upstairs.
Oh.
Yeah, and I don't know how they ever got into the stomp room.
Yeah.
If they would have let me in their practices, I probably would have been more advanced, you know, playing my music too.
Did you just
But-
pretty much learn
but,
by
you know,
watching them?
Yeah, that's what
Yeah,
I
just
said.
watching
That's
their
why I would
hands.
go there. I'd be there. I'd have a curfew, you know, like it was 9 o'clock. But my mom would, if the dance started at 9 o'clock, or most of the time it would, you know, I think about 8 o'clock or so, like that time. But I had to come home at a certain time, and I would go home, run home, wash up, eat. Because most of the time, a lot of times I would miss dinner time and not eat till I came home. Play my brother's guitar after I see them hold chords up there. You know, I try to remember what chords they are. Didn't even know the names of them for a long time after and stuff. So never knew there was such as a thing as a guitar chord books or anything like that either. So
Mm. Do you remember what your first song was you played?
I did play that song twice in the rec hall one year. It was at a Muscaratin dance. I'm not sure who. Muscaratin is masquerading dance, you know, where people dress up. You know, back then they didn't have Casper or the Witch and stuff like that. Kind of masks you could buy, you know. But there was ideas in catalogs. You know, you used to have Sears catalogs, Montgomery catalogs, Penny's catalogs, Alden's catalogs, and those kind of stuff. But that first guitar, I was talking about catalog. I have that catalog still today because my mom had put it away with a bunch of other catalogs and a lot of stuff my mom saved. My mom always saved things. I mean, I'm surprised, you know, that we didn't have the house added on to because of all the stuff she collected, you know. And I did throw a lot of important history away, you know. I was thinking about that, so, you know, I can go on and on about that. But, yeah, so music was the fun thing for me to do, and it still is today, you know. That's
So
why-
Muscaratin was the first place you played music?
Yeah,
Like-
yeah, it was just a simple song. There was, I don't know, I don't even have a guitar to tell you what chord it was in. I think it was an A and a D chord. It was, I don't know where I heard it or if I just made it up or whatever, but it was a song that, something like I didn't care, or I didn't care. Because the words were, I don't care what they say, I'm gonna play it anyway, or something like that. I can't remember what it was. And I did it for, you know, like a couple of minutes, and I stopped, and then the whole crowd did it again. They said, do it again. And I did it again. I was there by myself, you know, playing the guitar, and those older guys were sitting away from me and stuff. Yeah, so. That was my first time in the early 60s, and yeah.
Yeah. And so and then the stomp room, was that like something that was still in use when you really got into playing music, or by now?
No.
Mm.
They already closed that off and
Yeah.
started to make it
It
City
was
Hall.
short-lived, really.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I barely remember anything before.
Yeah.
You know, my older sisters went out to Mandregan, and a group of guys that were out there at the same time came back as musicians, you know.
Yeah.
And those guys were good. I mean, really good too.
My mom and dad one of them would talk about how they were, I don't know who it was with Max and whatever age group, they were teenagers and they want to sell coffee and make a little money while they play music there. Said they used to take our coffee and take it up there and sell
Sell
it.
it, yeah.
I didn't get their own coffee. So with Muscaratin, when's the first time you would be a part of Muscaratin outside of playing music? You grew up with this one.
I grew up around it, yeah,
Mhm.
because it seemed like I don't know if anybody else other than my mother was the one that got everybody involved and talked to my dad's friends and everybody, tell them, come on, I'll dress you up, and, dress them all up. And, yeah. And it's winter time, it's January when the masking's happening and stuff. Yeah.
Yep.
So, about curfews, like back in the day, there probably wasn't, were there police to enforce the curfews, or was it like a community thing? Like,
It was in the 60s, there was,
like
community
Mm.
patrolmen. I was actually trying to hurry up and refresh my memory before I came here the past 2 days, today and yesterday, and I saved when I was selling my mom's house, going through everything that she has. She says, don't ever throw anything away. If you keep it, some hard times are coming, But I don't have any place to put all that stuff, and I sold very little of anything, and tried to give some stuff away, and but I threw a lot of stuff away, and I threw shelf loads of newspapers my mom saved from over the years, the Pribilof Breeze newspaper, and the St. George Rock News, or Rock Island News or something. I saw that because I was reading through some of those newsletters from the 60s and 70s, and there's just a handful that I saved. I thought they were all different pages, but there's like 3 copies of this, 3 copies of that, and stuff like that.
The curfews. You had the.
well, I was just curious about the kinds
okay.
of. So I can imagine it was like somebody's parents saying, "Hey, it's time to go home. It's 9 o'clock."
Yeah, well, that's what happened. You have curfew, you're violating curfew, and everybody, they see they get on kids.
Mm.
If they see you doing something wrong, they tell your mom and dad about it.
Yeah.
If it was really wrong, then you get spanked.
Yeah.
But,
Mm.
I've gotten a lot of that growing up myself. So.
yeah.
Yeah, I was trying to remember. That was good you brought that up, because I think before they had hired community police.
In one of
people.
those newsletters, they talked to the Bureau of Commercial Fisheries. They have an article that they were going to start hiring state troopers to come out here.
Mm. And that was
Police.
Trooper Morris was the first one.
They didn't put the name down in that newsletter that I just read.
Mm.
Yeah, yeah.
So you were when he came, when Trooper Morris came, it seemed like a big deal with
Tiemann was working with
him.
around that time. Or Trooper Dubber, I think it was, that came after Trooper Morris. And he was a more, I don't know if you want to say ugly looking, but serious and mean looking, I guess,
Interesting. Trooper Morris did programs here.
Yeah, and about that time, he got Blas Shablin Sr. into becoming a state trooper.
Yeah. But he did like kids programs.
He did too, yeah.
Trooper
I can't
Morris.
remember. Yeah,
Baseball?
I can't remember that. Oh yeah. Him and the magistrate George Rukavishnikov Jr. Yeah, they did.
Yeah. Were you a part of that?
I was on the Seagulls team.
Mm.
Yeah, we were the yellow team, and the Auklets were the blue team.
Uniforms.
Well,
Or
just
t-shirts?
your clothes in a yellow sweatshirt, and
okay.
then the Auklets had a blue sweatshirt.
Mm.
They stenciled the names on them. You know.
Did you practice? Have practices?
Yeah, we practice down there and play against each other and stuff. And had a tournament, and the Auklets won.
Huh. So there was enough, like 9 on a team? It was a boys only, right?
Yeah, it was only boys.
Yeah. Did they do Boy Scouts? Who was it?
Yeah, that was after. That was I
Who was
forget
the
his
leader?
name.
So it was after.
Jerry, somebody after after I was already out of here.
Because I think I remember people like Ron Brown was on Boy
Yeah,
Scouts. It was,
yeah,
they were younger.
yeah.
Hmm.
Richard Z, it's like a grade level after I left. I think they started
Yeah.
that.
So that was like 60s?
Late 60s,
Late
early
60s.
70s.
Okay. Huh. What about,
They even did some stuff too. I think Jacob might have talked about Boy Scouts to you too. I think he worked
when
with.
as
yeah.
he was doing boys, I don't know if he talked about it, but I remember him taking boys out and being
Yeah,
part of
he
Boy
did
Scouts.
stuff for that.
Yeah. So, how was I going to ask? What about with Muscaratin? Do you remember anything stand out to you about what any plays or skits or that you remember happening as a kid? Like, were
Yeah,
you ever scared of somebody? or-
I think your ex-husband played that skit over later on in time when this masking was still going to Thomas, where he had gave birth to the newborn in the New York, bringing on the New Year.
Yeah.
that kind
Was
of
that
stuff
Jack
like
Lankoff? Was the new baby?
yeah, I think so. Yeah, but I don't remember Muka and them. They. I used to only go to the first show. They used to have a couple. The first showing, and then they go change their costumes. Run down to my house and go there, and my mom would be dressing them up. And the one that was the poor guys. There was like 5 of them. I think there was like I can't remember who all they were. My dad was one of them, and they were dressed up as Indian. When I don't know when this started, but when I don't know when the movies theater opened up. Irish stepped in, and John Cushion's Sea Breeze. But when they opened, I don't know if they showed pictures of Indians with bows and arrows and long hair and their little piece of leather in front of them and behind them, that look, the rawhide, whatever stuff. But these guys were up dressed up as Indians, and it was a blizzard out that day. And they only had their shoes on and their underwear and this rope tying this gunny sacks around here, gunny sacks back there, and they all took off out that door. My mom had their faces all painted up and everything. They grabbed their bows and arrows and stuff, and my mom said, "Okay, you guys need to get up there right now. Hurry up. Tell them everybody else is going to come up in a little while." So they run up the rec hall. They're leaving the door. "Oh, it's cold." They're running up there trying to keep their gunny sack from blowing around. But you need to know too, back then we didn't have street lighting like this that we do nowadays.
Right.
Each row had one, probably a 90 or 100-watt light bulb in the center. Like this is a street right here. The center house would have that light on it. That's all the light you had pretty much, unless it was a moon night. Moon up that night and bright. It was much easier to see that way.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I felt sorry for all those guys. They ran out, and then they
Were you
had to
home?
run back too, huh?
Were you home when they took off?
Yeah, I was home because they went up like that for the second show, and I couldn't go up there, So
So you got to see the behind the scenes stuff.
yeah.
Yeah.
Did that tell me that westerns were popular up here?
Yeah.
Cowboys and Indians. They
Yeah,
call it.
Yeah.
yeah. I used to like making my own bows and arrows when I was kids too, and slingshots.
Where'd you make the slingshots from?
From tires, inner tubes. Back then they didn't have this synthetic rubber that they have nowadays. It was real rubber, and you could just stretch it like that, and it never stopped stretching. And they're good for making. Got in trouble was making one of my slingshots one year. My mom was. We used to. I remember it was only one time before the older guys, they used to share their slingshots with me, like the old government trucks that they threw away. They'd go to the old car dump and cut into the tires, with just a knife and cut into the tires and get the inner tube out of there. And I got to do that one time before they got rid of that old car dump. I walked out there, this was behind Little Paulavina. I walked all the way out there and got my own inner tube. I don't want to call it a rubber, but that's what we used, and we cut it, sliced them up to slices a little thinner than this, narrower than that stuff, and he'd use old shoes to make tongues for your slingshots, and we make these. I think it's about 5/16 or 1/4 inch. There used to be, right behind the water tanks down on the shoreline, there used to be this green roll of that copper, solid copper. It was just, I don't know if it was a grounding rod or whatever, but that copper disappeared, probably about 25 years ago. Some outsider saw it down there and grabbed it and took it and shipped it off island. This was big. It was stuck in between the rocks. Rocks had fallen on it and stuff. We used to go down there and grab, straighten it out, and that whole pile, kind of untangle that copper and put it on a rock and take another rock and break through that copper right there to make our slingshots, And later on in time, somebody came back from Anchorage with a slingshot. I'm thinking most likely it might have been maybe John W. I'm not sure, because some of the people, too many people got to leave all the time and come back from Anchorage and stuff like that. And all of a sudden, somebody showed up with a wrist rocket. What's a wrist rocket? It's got the same kind of handle right there, but then the rest of that handle goes up here to be supported, so you're not fighting to keep your arm like in that position, So that's a wrist rocket, and we started building those wrist rockets after we seen that too, like that. Got in trouble with whenever we wanted to, or we got mad at somebody, we'll go and shoot a light out on their street. Because after a while you get good, you just point up, you get that light bulb out there, So, yeah, so.
Who did you get mad at?
Butchie boy.
Ah.
Butchie boy, yeah. He beat me up one time too, after that. He was a couple years older than I am. Edgar Melavita, my cousin. Yeah. But he was always a fun guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So did you have
He's
to?
gone now.
What did it get?
I got restricted and stayed home. No, I didn't. No.
You hid it.
I don't
away.
remember. Huh?
You hid it away. Your slingshot.
No, I did. I just didn't tell them where it was. My mom and dad.
You ever go hunting with it?
All the time. I mean, we would go out, especially after Easter. That's the birds are coming back, the chukchis are coming back, the murs are coming back, and we'd even go down to West Landing and walk across the channel, and we'd be out. I don't know how we timed it, because I don't remember having a watch. To get back to school in the morning, go to school all wet, all soaked, stuff. And usually our boots, would have holes in them. They would, we'd have, parents, didn't make much money working for the government, and I can remember a lot of times if I got a new set of boots, and then before I know it, I'd have to wear them another year or two with plastic bags inside them, just to keep my feet dry, stuff like that. And anyway, I think one of the last ones the slingshots I recall making, my mom was screaming. I mean, I was eating dinner. I think it was dinner, yeah. She was hollering, Makai! That's just a scary scream, you know, it's just hollering. And she kept going on and on. I said, okay, put my food down. I said, what, Mom? Hollering down the stairs. What, Mom? She said, what the heck you do to my shoes, my hiking boots I just got? She had a nice hiking boot she was proud of when, when she first got it. And I said, man, I just, I almost drooled over those hiking boots because I knew what I was going to do eventually. And I did it too. And so this was real restriction. But, we didn't have money. My dad didn't freely give you money every day and stuff like that. And he didn't do that for my mom too. My mom was upset, real upset. Holy cow. I mean, I thought I was going to get, spanked beyond staying alive. Yeah, because she was sad about it too. I felt bad too. Later on in years, not at the moment, because I was being scolded really so bad. Yeah, so I think that was the last slingshot I made when I cut up my mom. The tongues off my mom's, they were up past her knees, those boots, laced up boot, leather.
Oh, big tongues.
Nice leather, yeah.
Oh my goodness. This is by this time you're living in 124?
Yeah, that
At
was,
that
yeah.
time. Yeah. So, what about the camp house? What's your early memories of camp house?
Early memories is when, before any locals got any vehicles, I believe that my dad was the first one to buy a vehicle off one of the government agents, four-door Ford, blue Ford. But we used, since my dad was, the head mechanic at the shop, he was allowed to take the Diamond T's out, the old trucks and stuff like that. And so we'd go camping those out at Zapotney, where my mom, I'm not sure what year it was, before I could remember, her digging out an abandoned building at Zapotney there. And it was probably pretty close to from here to the doorway right there, and wasn't probably almost this size wide too. It had a window here, window here, window here, and then over that way you're going out the doorway, and it had that little add-on right there. But right to the right of the doorway was this coal stove that heated that place and stuff. Yeah, so.
So probably 8-10 feet wide?
Yeah, probably. Yeah, if you count tiles, those are 1 foot tiles,
Mhm.
10, 12 foot. It almost seems like it's about this wide, exactly, almost exactly this wide. A lot of people remember, my age and those
Yeah.
generations under my age remember it. And one year, my sister was dating a Coast Guard guy, and so we were living out at the camp house, me and my ex-wife at that time, and we had to move in town to watch my mom and dad's house because my sister, on a stormy night with her on her three-wheeler, she crashed into, I don't even remember whose truck it was, a pickup truck, and she was going fast, and it's really raining, and I guess she couldn't see too well and stuff, and bumped right into this truck, flipped over the tailgate there, and bike was burning under her, and burned her up. She had to get a lot of skin graft and stuff like that. And so my mom and dad, they both left on the emergency plane that came. And so they asked us if we could come and stay at the house there, and so we did. And one of the weekends, while we were still staying there, and my mom and dad were out with my sister, taking care of her at the hospital out in Anchorage and stuff. And Simeon Swetzoff calls on the CB radio, Simeon Jr. And he said, Mac, looks like, is there somebody camping at your camp house? I said, no, not supposed to be. He said, okay, maybe somebody's just having a bonfire. I said, okay. Thanks for the call, though. I'll probably check it later on. I told him, 'cause I go out on my three-wheeler. This was before the four-wheeler time, and he calls not long after I just checked the fire extinguisher. I was going to run out there, and the fire extinguisher that came with the house was hanging on the wall before you go down to the basement and stuff. And he's calling on the radio again. I hear him, so I answered. I said, "Go ahead, Simon. What do you got?" "Well, it looks like the camp house is burning."
Oh.
And then so he said, "It looks like it's not a bonfire. It looks just up. It's really big now." And so we called, and then we called, I forget who it was. I think Nikifer Kachutin or somebody, one of those guys, or maybe even Dennis and Jason B or whatever. And by the time we got out there, it was fully involved fire. I mean, you just come around the turn right there after you pass the Zapotney Beach. You come up and you're gonna turn out towards Anton Lake. Right on that turn, you couldn't come past that turn over that way. It was too hot. And everything was a loss there. So we lost that camp house that year, and never heard who was out there or who might have started the fire. But just recent, like I said earlier, recent years, I heard that TDX might have gotten our title for our family to, be able to build on that land again. Because the excuse TDX always gave me, it's way past the land claims is, the federal government wants that land because they used it too. They harvested seals right up against
That road.
between the camp house and the road. As you come up the road and you're going out towards Anton Lake, come up the road like that. So they harvest there, and then they harvest over by the hill and stuff like that.
That would be, even it's a historic site. Was it what kind of house was it? Like a fox camp? Or?
I'm not even sure. My mom didn't really say. But they had one of those. So if you're coming from where the spot is there, you're going to go on that turn back to the seal blinds. So you got past the seal blinds right up on the top of the hill. There was one of those fox farming houses.
I remember that one.
Yeah. And then
there was one at Polavina too.
there was, yes, you get that one at Polavina, or not Polavina, right at halfway, right there. If you're going out to halfway, you got that first gate. You see that little spot where the grass grows up right there? That's where one of those were. And then there was another one as you're going up to Ayagana. You're going past the Salt Lagoon, coming back out towards Zapotney, but you turn up towards Tolstoy. Right there before that turn on the left, you're going up that hill. Right on the left was another one of those box houses.
Up on the top side.
No, on the bottom.
Oh, so the lagoon, like where people pull out now?
Yeah, where everybody goes down that trail right there. There was one pretty close to the inside of that turn, inside of that turn going up.
That one I don't remember. Yeah. Wow.
And when camping there, with Jacob and Larry Pletnikoff, Uriah, Jacob would go camping in that camp house. We had fun in there. Stuff too.
Is that when Jacob talked about a story about shooting
all our ammo up? We shot all our ammo. Did he talk about shooting up all our ammo?
about shooting koa or something?
Oh yeah,
No,
that was, I think it was with
Or maybe
there was a story about that they one morning they were coming back from I think Southwest the camp house and they stopped. It was with Perf, I think. That was a sound of Perf. I don't know if it was Jacob, but it was Perf. But they snuck up on a cullet and hit it with a rock.
Oh yeah.
That was with me and Larry.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. We didn't have any more ammo when we came up upon this small sea line right before the cliffs at Zapotney. And they said, "Man, you got any bullets?" We didn't have any bullets, We didn't have a lot of money to buy bullets and stuff, and so didn't have any bullets. And there was that one small sea line down there. I think it was with a bigger sea lion too, but we snuck up on it as far as we could, and me and Larry missed, and Jacob's rock just hit down the back of the sea lion's head. And then we ran down there, get more rocks, kill him, kill him. Wow. Yeah, so.
When we talk about rocking the sea lion.
Yeah.
Did you guys cut it up and
Mm-hmm.
take
Brought it back.
back?
Yep.
Nice. Is that like probably one of your first subsistence experiences?
Yeah.
Other than, did you get chichkis and bring them back, or pretty much just hunted them and chichkis?
I've hunted them, yeah.
Yeah.
Too, and never really plucked my own though.
Mm.
Yeah, so
Yeah. What about other birds? Kalea?
yeah, MERS. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Huh. Yeah. How old
Those
were you
were
guys?
bean shooter days.
Like 14 or teenagers then? Young teens?
Yeah. I think we were like starting like 11 years old or something like that.
Hmm. Yep. That's good to hear that. Camp house. Who do you think of as your mentors? Like how you were growing up? Those musicians must have been kind of just from watching them.
Mm-hmm.
But were there
Yeah, they were you know, the Meteors. You ever heard of the Meteors?
I remember hearing of the Meteors.
Yeah. Yeah, so there was several of those guys. There's Baka,
Mm-hmm.
Lakia, Maxima, and Agathon,
Papa.
Pat, yeah, Agathon Krukov,
Mm-hmm.
and Pat Kozlov. Those are my guys I watched quite a bit. And the good part about that age group, they didn't have airplanes every day, and I just actually got a refresher on how those people got to St. George that got dropped off here, on their way back from on Reeves and stuff. They had to wait for a few days or something for the scheduled monthly boat to come, to the St. Paul and St. George, and that's where in Burton Rakulief, those kind of guys from St. George, they would have to wait for the boat unless the boat was here and they lucked out 1 year or 2 years. They everybody left, for 9 months of school, back in those days. And they still do that too, and come back in the springtime and stuff, and sometimes they have to wait for a boat, so I was happy for those sometimes when they had to wait for a boat, because I got to watch Lakia, Victor Makuliv. He would come to my house because my dad is his uncle, so he's my cousin too and stuff, and he'd play guitar, and man, I'd be thrilled. I'd just watch him, and after he leaves, I grab that guitar and I go in the bedroom and I try to play that music that he's learning and stuff. Yeah, Max Lestenkoff, and yeah.
Mm. Yeah. What was your
Oh, and the other part about extra curfew hours is when those guys would start playing. I'd get to be there half an hour because my mom would say only half an hour. And I go and watch how they hold their chords and try to remember them all before I get back home.
What was your first job? What did you
I worked for Father Michael Lestenkoff. I did that for about 3 years. I think when you turn 13, you could, pick seal sticks. Pick seal sticks for 'em. Got 25 cents a seal stick.
how much might you get?
Huh?
How much seal sticks might you get
Like
in a
you
day?
get 100 or more, because back then they, had like a couple thousand at least seals, per day, stuff like that. Not always a couple thousand, because Zapanee and Reef were the bigger rookeries, when you do that, stuff like that.
It's like,
And I got hooked on to something really bad. Don't ever chew tobacco.
Mm.
Yeah, so.
You remember that as being part of your seal stick time when you
Yeah,
start to chew?
yeah, because the other guys, the older boys, they, I don't know where they got it from, but they got it, And I told my mom about it. And I asked her if she could buy me snuff. And I don't know who, I think it was those Titoff brothers, and that got me into it because they're the older guys. Before I started making my own bean shooters, I followed them down the cliffside and the rookeries and all kinds of stuff like that. And I started bargaining with chewing tobacco because, one pinch means, if I give you a pinch of chew, you give me one seal stick for that. 25 cents, in other words, If you don't have the money, you pay with a seal stick. And,
There's a story in there.
and my mom never knew until later on in life that I said, Mom, you got me on tobacco? I said, no. I said, yeah, you did. Remember when you used to buy me snuff so I could trade it for a seal stick, Yeah. I said, I'm still snuffing still. She wasn't too happy with herself and not catching on to that.
So you would go out with, meet up at the A dorm to go out.
At
pick
the seal harvest?
seal
Yeah.
sticks?
Yeah.
Like you get a ride.
Yeah, you walk, everybody walks down there at 4 o'clock in the morning and go have breakfast. And, that A dorm, they call it A dorm, Alaska dorm. That's what it stands for. Yeah, and the government, they fed you before you headed out. And at first light, it's still dark when you're heading out to the rookery. And just as everybody's got their gear and the sun is starting to come up, and everybody just runs down along the shoreline and try not to wake the seals before you get to the shoreline and start running across. And then the seals wake up and they were between them and the water, and the only way they can run is up the rocks, and that's how I did that. And I only did that 1 year. 1 year, I got $2.10 an hour working for the government back then.
At the harvest.
At the
Yeah.
harvest, yeah.
This is after you picked seal sticks. Yeah.
That was when I turned 16, I started.
Sounds like you'd make more money doing seal sticks than.
I know, right? I never thought about that. But I think her dad, kept the guys employed until they're 16 and give them to the government, because there's other kids behind us that will take the jobs.
When you got, I'm trying to think of that time. I guess maybe when you got paid for seal sticks, you got paid in cash in an envelope,
Yeah.
not a check. They
Yeah.
didn't really do checks.
They did checks.
They did checks?
Yeah, you just signed them right there.
Ah.
You go see Clara Milovidoff, or I think Irene Milovidoff was working at the BCF office. That's the across from Duna's Kitchen, right there. We used to go there to get our paychecks.
You save money and go out when you went to high school.
Save money before you go to Edgecombe. Yeah.
So you only did sealing at the killing field for 1 year?
1 year, yeah.
After
That's
that-
because my friend told me at the plant that they pay $18 blubber a pelt, per hour. So $2.10 compared to 18, whatever that was. And, I don't recall the exact, but it was $18 starting down there. And I said I could do that. I was real scrawny and stuff, but.
What do
ended
you
up
do?
doing-
Like sign up, or how do you apply to?
You just go back to, you just talk, we talked, Phyllis Swetzoff, Phyllis Heine, she used to be, her dad was Richard Heine. He was the overseer of the blubber shop, and, the processing plant down there, and go talk to him. So he worked at this killing field, worked between the killing field and, the wash house, and Kench house, all those processing buildings, boxing shed and stuff, and he worked there, so I went and talked to him, and he says, yeah, okay, we'll see what you could do down there. And so I did from that first year. I got down there until they pulled out in the 80s. I blubbered till the last year they processed those seal pelts down there.
Did you have like, remember how much you might do in an hour's time?
I can't remember that. But everybody was, you know, pretty close to the same amount, except when those St. George boys, Jason wasn't blubbering, Jerry M. and them would
James.
blubber. Yeah, James. Yeah, and well, anyway, Fede Krugov, he was the foreman in that area and stuff, and he would always give me the road skins.
What's that? The road skin.
You don't know what a road skin is? Gee, how old are you? How young are you? No, that's why they, you know, when I forget, what do you call the watch boys or watchmen, they call them. They always say, stay far away from them, but stay where they could see you. The seals, you know, thousands of seals that they have in a pot there and stuff. And you're out there, and then they have to drive, you know, from the water to the spot where they're gonna, you know, keep them from running around. And then they have over here the killing field area. They're gonna bring them by pods over the seals over to the killing area and stuff. And a lot of times the bull seals and stuff are in there with all the younger ones, you know, because they can't sort them right down there they have to bring them up to the spot where they're going to harvest, and they would have to break them up in like 6 to 8 seals in a pod. They would break those bunch out of this pod and bring it over here, and they would harvest them, start harvesting them. And a lot of them would end up dying because heat exertion, you know, they die out there. Their body temperature is so bad, and you know, they're old big bulls, you know, 8 years, 10-year-old, whatever, how old they were. I'm not ever told that. But they would have me as the person to really clean those off good for them so they could look at the hides and whatever. I don't know if they ever processed those. Those were big pelts. I mean, way bigger than this, you know.
So if you get paid by the pelt, then it would take a long time just to do one of those guys.
Yeah. But the guys before me, like my Kuma, Frank Baldwin, and you know, he's got the same symptoms I do, but he was like the generation, the older group before me, like the 10-year span away from me, and they got paid per pelt when they dealt, you know, the government, and then they changed, I don't know, right before I started, you know.
Hourly?
Yeah, they switched to hourly. And they used to like to, you know, get more money getting by the pelt, you know, by the hour.
Doing really fast.
Yeah. You go in there, you're cold, and you know.
Yeah, we work yourself to
you start off with a sweatshirt on, and then you have your T-shirt ready. You know, you have a little apron, rubber apron, and then a gunny sack on there, and you tie that on there, and we're blubbering that way, and a headband to keep your head. It's cold in there, you know. It's, you know, summers are not hot out here, and the doors are all open because they have, as we process blubber the hides, they take them out and take them to the kench or the brine shed, you know, to soak them over there in the salt water overnight before they wring them out and take them all the way to the other. There was what, 1, 2, 3, 4 buildings down there, and they had to take down to the 4th building from there, soaking them there, and then they stack them in piles of 100 pelts per pile, you know, and they had rows. You go into the boxing shed there, you turn left, and you can see where they have all these rows, and the racks are like tapered like that, maybe about that tall, and maybe almost as wide as that. You know, the rack would come up like a roof shape. They had pelts on here, pelts on there, and there's 2 rows. You know, at each row there's back-to-back rows, you know, on both sides, and so many seal pelts in there, you know, drying up. And before they started, I think, using a forklift to take them from that building to over there.
Mm.
They had this a hanging rail. If you ever went to St. George, try to go to their processing plant there and see their operation. They preserved their, and up here they tore everything down. I don't know why we didn't think about preserving, that, and to probably because they picked out the spot for the fisheries, the fishing, the halibut and crab and stuff like that, and that's where the PIP building was that burned down several years ago, and probably why they tore those down, And I don't even have my blubber knife that I used when I did that, but yeah, before they forklift the baskets down, there was a rail that went north to south and then east to west to take them down to the last building down there.
They would push them.
Yeah, they'd have the
Like a
guys that work
trolley
over
thing
there
or
at that brine shed. They would run or they had the laborers to run those between the buildings,
Then they had to take them out of that and stack them.
No, they dumped them out there and then they boxed them or they dried them.
Do you know how long they
I
did
think
that? The drying, but they stacked them on the.
They just stacked them as they were wet. They stacked them all on each other's, and I don't know if Z would know because she
Yeah.
worked boxing shed. How long? Because I was over there blubbering all the time, and
Mhm.
whenever I'm done blubbering, they'd either send me over or all of us blubberers over there. I forget how frequent, but it was quite frequent. It seems like almost every day. It seemed like that we'd be these 100-pound bags of salt. We'd be in a chain. All right, boys, line up. Let's take this from this corner. Let's put it over this corner. The next day, from that corner up to the hopper where they make the brine. And then they had some 50-pounders, and we would just throw those, at each other, knocking each other down and stuff like that. But also, the bad thing between work these days and those days is those days they didn't have OSHA, Occupational Safety Hazard Administration, OSHA. That you have all kinds of safety things you have to do for different jobs nowadays. All the safety preps, the proper safety PPE, personal protective equipment, stuff like that. We didn't have that. We didn't even have anybody to tell you how to pick up those bags. It's just however you could handle them. You were turning without turning your whole back, and you were pivoting on your spine too. That's probably why I have back problems. And you got that 100-pound bags and those 50-pound bags. You grab them and you're just pivoting your spine, and I think that's the part with my lower back. The problem is. And
Lots of injuries back in those days.
yeah.
So you worked there until it shut down,
Till it shut down.
and
that
your
final
mom
year.
did too,
Yeah.
pretty much.
Yeah.
So after that,
Dennis and Jacob, they were on machines down there too, the
Mm.
blubber machines while blubbering. Stuff.
What did you do after that when it shut down?
When it shut down, I worked between the tribal office, TDX. I worked for TDX, and then I worked tribe, and then city hall. I worked for the city up until '94. Then I moved to the school, and I worked up there till 2000. And then I ended up getting back on with the city after I left the school district. And somebody's husband asked me if I would like to come and work part-time. I said, sure, yeah. So after a few months, I was asked him if I'd like to become permanent. I said, okay, I guess, not for long, but I said, I don't want to be a supervisor of any kind, I'm not a supervisor. I can't even teach a kid how to play guitar, I don't have the patience for it. I don't have the patience to teach somebody how to do this, how to do that, that's why I kind of avoid some stuff that requests me or that I need to explain everything and teach somebody how to do this. You know, I don't have the patience for that.
Yet you weren't taught to
Hmm?
play. You like watched basketball, watched guitar playing.
Just watching and listening.
Yeah. So
Eventually, so nowadays I can sit down and be there. You know, I like, you know, now that I'm retired, so this is my first year. It's not even been 1 year since I've been retired. It's only been since July 1st, you know, to this day. I have my son's little acoustic guitar by me all the time. You know, it's on the floor right there. I hear something on the TV or my wife in the other room with listening to her music, and I hear that song and I can recognize the A, D, G, or F chord. You know, that sound. I learned to recognize that, so that makes it easier, and then I could just go, you know, figure out where. And
mm,
I don't read music. Never learned
Yeah.
how to read music, and
so
all these little notes that are on here, they're, you know, if I look at it and then I'm going to get mixed up, I just, you know, so I just listen. Like I started, you know, several years ago, I figured, oh crap, you know, I can be good enough to play live for Christmas if I start playing Christmas music in July. So I do that, you know, July I'll, you know, start to play Christmas music. So it sounds okay because everybody was like, oh yeah, which chord is that played in or whatever, you know, when it comes Christmas time. So I like to do that.
would you
And
like?
just think of the lyrics to put the lead part of the chords, you know, in there. I just think of what the words in the songs were to make it the melody of the song, or I guess that's what you call it. I don't even know what the parts of the songs are called. Yeah.
I like that with language. I don't know what the, like, George will name this typical type of term for the structure of a word. I don't know what the heck it is. But I was wondering with, how important do you think, or maybe that's, to bring back musicians in a community realm, like with the younger folks, like Johnny, for example, if they are back and they're practicing and providing that chance for younger folks to see them playing in the community hall.
This is what George gave me
Right.
before I walked in here. You know, I'm not sure if I'm going to make that. It's on a Saturday
Yeah. So if it's like,
because I'm supposed to play at the lounge
mm,
Friday night.
so that being said, like if all of those guys were only playing in a bar when you were growing up, you think that would have changed?
I
you playing
probably
music?
they did ended up playing in the little bar down here.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
and I even got smoked out nights down there too
Yeah.
because they didn't not smoke. They smoked in
Right.
that bar and it was
It
kind
just
of hard and it was.
when you were talking about how you learned and then not having the patience for teaching, I'm wondering
There,
if we missed having.
so somebody, Dustin, that plays in my band now, he used to do what I did. Marvin,
They watched that community.
him, Marvin,
Yeah.
I think it was Boy, Victor,
Yeah.
Lucky A's son.
Yeah.
He got to watch me like I got to watch his dad, you know,
Yeah.
learn how to do that. And they got to sit down there by the stage and watching me and stuff. And
Right.
we got VCR
So we
tape
need some
showing those
community
guys,
dances for some
Yeah.
watchers.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't stay up to midnight to save my life these days. Tell us about your journey with making coffins. Like, how did you start with that and learn?
Ooh.
Yeah.
My cousin, he asked me. I knew he did it, but I never really, you know, I was interested in carpentry, and I never really went there to watch him do it, unless, you know,
Where was
somebody
this that
was
they
going,
made?
huh?
Where did they make them before Public Works was?
down at the old carpenter shop.
Oh, down here.
Yeah, across from
Okay.
the machine shop. You know where the machine shop is?
Mhm.
You're coming up past the machine shop towards the store.
Yeah.
They had the old carpenter shop, plumbing shop,
Yeah. Those are torn down.
carpenter. Yeah, those
Where
are
that
gone.
basketball court is.
Yeah, that's where that was.
Mm.
They had a coal house in there too. Yeah, so those, and the electrical place was down the road, go over towards the store, then you go to E-shop. E-shop saying means electrician shop, you know.
Mhm.
Yeah. So
Well, anyway,
your cousin.
yeah,
Harry?
my cousin, my Aunt Martha's son, wasn't the oldest son. I think he was the middle son or whatever. I'm not sure. But I'm not sure if him and Rory were older. But his name was Harry Krugoff, and he says, "Hey, little cousin, you wanna?" He said, "Little cousin." I was taller than him, meaning a younger cousin. Would you like to learn something? I said, "I'm always willing to learn." Yeah. Well, I said, "What is it?" He said, "Would you like to learn how to build coffins?" I said, "I don't know about that." I said, "I don't know how. Can I give you an answer a little later?" He said, "Yeah. I'll probably ask you again tomorrow." So I said, so next day when clock into work, I said, "Yeah, you could teach me." I said, "Yeah, I'll learn." Okay, so there was nobody dead now, but he just wanted to know who he could pass on, you know, what the elders passed on to him, you know. And so I, whenever that happened, and he wasn't there, you know. I mean, he taught me, yeah. So he taught me, and then the next time after that, you know, it was like a month later he died.
Mm.
So he was out in Anchorage. I'm not even sure what he died with, cancer or whatever it was. I'm not sure. Yeah, but the first time I built that, I was on my own. Nobody else was going to tell me if I did it wrong or I didn't do it right, you know. And I don't even know who it was for. I can't remember, and I can't tell you who the last one I did for, because, you know, it's just there. I go there. It used to take 8 to 12 hours to build a coffin, and so, you know, with all the brad nailing, setting the nails and filling the holes and staining it and stuff. It used to do that way. But when I got my first, I did some work for some lady in town, and she said, "Who do you?" I said, "You don't have to pay me." He said, "Well, okay, can I give you something then?" I said, "Yeah, okay, what is it?" He said, "I got a gun." Is it a gun? "Oh, yeah." "It's not that kind of gun, it's a nailer gun." I said, "Holy moly, I don't even know how to use a nailer gun yet, you know." So I got this,
Pneumatic. Probably
yeah,
pneumatic.
a brad nailer, yeah.
Mhm.
So that, you know, if on a good day I can do on 4 hours, you know,
Wow.
as opposed to 8 to 12 hours, you know. So that really speeded up, and so
I'm
So,
sure it's all about measurements too, I'm sure.
yeah, there's it's not the standard manufactured size, you know, one size fits all, you know.
Mhm.
It's custom made to your size.
Mhm.
So yours would be different from hers, and,
Yeah.
you know, since you're so much taller and stuff like that. So all of them are different measurements.
Yeah.
You know,
And you're
so.
skinnier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you have to put in all the cushioning, the padding, the cloth.
No,
and
I don't
stuff
do
like
that. Actually, Dorothy Shablin and Fikla, you know, Fikla Hapoff, that's Barbara Senage and Jolene's grandma. Jolene's grandma would be Hazel's mom, you know, Fikla. And Fikla and Dorothy would be the ones I started. They started to be the liners of the caskets that I built. So, and so now their daughters, you know, have worked into those positions, you know, since Dorothy's out for medical or something, and Fikla passed on several years ago. You know.
I like Heritina and Barbara.
Heritina and Barbara, yeah, Jolene, you know, they all willing to help. Without those people, I would, you know, take me forever to, you know, do coffin.
Wow. So now, how many
And for
years
so,
ago?
For, huh?
How long ago was that when Harry asked you?
In 2 years, it's gonna be 40 years I've been
Oh, wow.
doing it. Yeah, so,
Mm.
don't like to count them, don't like to count how many, you know, or don't even remember where a lot of them are buried, you know.
Yeah.
And
You didn't
since
like-
then, I don't know
You
if
didn't put your
I don't know
initials
if-
on
I
them,
don't,
did you?
no, I don't write no initials on
Okay,
nothing.
good.
That
Had to ask.
I don't know if Harry ever got involved with other than just building that casket when he did it, you know, my cousin, older cousin. Because now when I build them, you know, I'm there and I even help take them to the church and put them in there, and they call me at the. I used to go to all the services, you know, when they first start, like over the first half of the year or so. And then eventually I told the star, says, you know, I'm too tired to come here and stand in a whole service now and, you know, wait there. I did it for a lot of years, you know, being in the whole service through all the services and stuff. You'd think I'd remember all the people's names too, you know, but no, I don't. Can't even remember that. Plus, I build crosses too, when you know, down to where I'm building crosses too. Frank Baldwin used to help me, you know, build crosses too, you know, while I build a coffin. So.
It's a lot of work.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot. Of
It's a lot of time too, you know, and everybody gets it for free, you know. And if it doesn't, I don't know who passed on, but when I left one of the years, Edward and I think it was Peter Bordikowski had to build a coffin, and so I ended up couldn't explain it, everything, you know, step by step, and so I drew it out on a piece of paper and I sent it to them on how what you have to do.
I'm sure there are probably instructions available online these days, you know, on the internet, with all the information.
But they don't have the style that we have here, you know.
Yeah.
Even the ones that, you know, I've asked Amos, you know, when he was president, if he can get some, you know, support for getting coffins if they die out there, you know, get a coffin for them, you know. And,
Because where does
a lot
the
of times now,
wood come? Like, who buys the wood for making the coffins now?
this city still buys it, you know, since I started.
Might have to have a wood fundraiser.
Yeah.
Yeah. Huh.
And I've never really built replacement crosses either because they charge and nobody wants to pay the city for the lumber, you know.
It was all cedar too.
The for the crosses, yeah.
yeah.
That changed when Joe Reller was here because we used to just use some like Douglas fir wood, and
Yeah.
I'm not sure if that Douglas fir or the cedar lasted longer because when we seal up all the moisture, that they say cedar lasts long, you know, and once you close it up tight, airtight, it just sweats under the paint and stuff, and that I think it makes that cedar rot faster.
Interesting.
So it might make sense to keep some air holes or something in the paint
Yeah.
so it could breathe.
Mm-hmm.
That's not a bad idea.
For nowadays, in the times that we're in, do you have any like good things or you really appreciate about being here, or do you have any concerns about our community or living here?
I think city council is having the concerns that, you know, I'm concerned about too, you know.
Yeah.
Like, if you listen to the last meeting, we talked about, you know, did we have police back then when I was growing up? Yeah, I remember there being police officers here and stuff. And so, like I said, I was going through these Pribilof Breeze or Bering Sea newspaper or whatever, you know, that my mom had away. But I think I threw all away the ones that the city used to do all the time, Bering Sea News. That one, I think I threw them all away. Plus more of the school-related newsletters that my mom kept, every one of them. Since they started to do them, I threw them all away, and I pretty much saw a spot in the pile that said the 70s, so I grabbed that pile, and there was
She kept
like
it in order.
2 or 3. I never really looked through it until yesterday.
Yeah.
That binder, it just looked like a bunch of newspapers, you know. I thought it was a bunch, but there's, you know, like 3 of this, 2 of those, and 2 of this, and one of the things was too when they were getting funding for supporting the JOM program. Remember the JOM
Johnson
program?
O'Malley. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess that's with your concerns. What community police did back in the 60s, 70s. What did they respond to? Is it different nowadays?
Of course, you can't even get through GCI, you know, to call in 911. You know, back then we had VHF, not VHF, CB radios. You know, so the policemen, they had battery operated big CB radios, handheld, you know, and stuff like that. And eventually they started getting base units, you know, or in their house units, plug in the wall VHFs and stuff like that. Yeah, so that was the communication, just like, you know, everywhere, you know, thousands of years ago, hundreds of years ago, last year, everybody has family disputes, you know. It's not just everybody that drinks, you know. And so, yeah, so police was became handy to community, and the city, you know, paid for the law enforcement here for a long time, and now everybody doesn't see how important that is to have, you know, public safety officers, you know, now that we don't have it. And just listening to that last city council meeting last week, you know that not just St. Paul is having a hard time. A lot of the bush community that use village public safety officers, a lot of them don't have them too, you know, and we're one of those people too. And they talking that person who's in charge of the police and all that kind of stuff in Anchorage or wherever, Juneau, wherever he was on the phone from, is saying even the police officers in Anchorage, all over Alaska, all over the United States, they're having problems, and even the state troopers, you know, all the troopers, there's hardly getting anybody wanting to, you know, do those kind of positions anymore. And he was even saying even the younger people nowadays, they're not even wanting to go into the military, you know. And those people that are coming out of the military now, they probably have most likely military police experience, and they're the most ones that are even applying for the VPSO jobs around Alaska and stuff. So yeah, so
In the
the
past,
public safety issue is a real issue now. You know.
do you have any concerns or better or worse regarding, like if we had people in our own town that were police officers versus having to bring in people?
Yeah, we had people that were locals.
Yeah.
That were, and it was good.
Yeah.
You know, they
They
get
knew-
to have their
they
own
knew
weekend
people.
too. Yeah, so they knew people and who people hung out with and where you could possibly find them. You know,
Yeah.
if they were looking for somebody.
Yeah.
I grew up in the 90s. I remember that there were at least 5 to 10 police officers.
Mm-hmm.
I remember Gary Putman.
Mm-hmm.
Still
Those were
good
the-
guys.
Fishing boat days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm. The traffic, yeah.
And I know these days there are, I don't know, maybe it's the laws that get in the way, but you don't want to get involved when something happens. You know, say something happens down the street. You don't want to run over there and say, hey, no, you guys got to stop this or that. You don't do this or that, because when you do that, you could possibly get in trouble too. So, I don't know, that's worrisome as well.
Yeah.
That's
Sad that we've
what
come
they were
to that.
talking. That was what they were talking about all communities, pretty much. You know, people don't want to get involved when they see something happen.
Yeah.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
they're
Well,
worried. They're worried. In my mind, I'm thinking it's because, you know, the other family might have, you know, more people or whatever in the family, and if you snitch on them, you know,
Oh, yeah.
you might get in trouble too with the family. But I don't think people should have that fear, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If something drastic happens, you know, people should, you know, be able to witness something. Take it on your phone that nobody ever puts down anymore. Did you put your phone down?
I did.
You did, huh?
That's the way.
I got mine in my pocket. Or on the side.
You could video it.
Yeah, because a lot of times anywhere else in the world, you know, unless we get street cameras and stuff like that, you know, like some places even in the
It's
world.
funny
they don't
how
have
we've gone to
street cameras.
needing that versus witnessing with our eyes.
Yeah, like that guy was talking, you know, I don't know, police commissioner or whatever, I don't know what his title was, but he was saying even a lot of people don't want to, you know, be witnesses in a crime, so a lot of the cases are being dropped nowadays, and you got, you know, murderers and everybody on the walking out free now, you know, because they couldn't prosecute them because the witnesses wouldn't say anything, you know.
So, but it is pretty safe to say that if we have police officers, it's not like they can solve people's problems. They're just responding.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah. So they need witnesses of, you know, people being able to come up in court and testify against, you know, anybody being prosecuted, or all the cases will be dropped and they're just, you know, just stopping fights or whatever, you know.
yeah. What would you, if you're looking back, your time, life and times here on St. Paul Island, what would you say you know now about living happily or successfully? What would your message be to folks about work ethics or anything you want to share about what you feel like young folks should know?
Pay attention to the community you live in, what they do, the people that do what they do, and whether it's good things or bad things, or what kind of jobs they have, you know. If you'd like to be like them, you know, think of all the stuff that they have to do to be the way they are, you know. I don't know if that answers the question.
Yeah, no, that's good.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
working at the school and seeing the computers get to the school and stuff like that, man, look at, you know, like I said, I started down there in '94 and stuff, and that's about the time everybody, you know, started to use computers at their job sites and stuff like that, or maybe a little earlier than that. But then, you know, seeing the kids being taught computers down there, we don't have any plumbers. I mean, we don't have as many plumbers that we used to have back in the government days, and we don't have as many electricians that we had when government was here, and carpenters, you know.
Yeah.
And pretty much, you know, people, if you were my carpenter helper back, you know, if I was around here constructing, building the school and stuff like that, you'd be learning, hands-on learning, you know. So nobody ever, you know, since those computers, there really hasn't been any young people falling into these positions.
That's about when it changed.
Yep, yeah. Everybody wants to be a computer tech. And how many are computer techs, you know?
Mm-hmm.
No,
That's a good question.
they
Yeah.
bypassing, you know, being a plumber. the stuff that we need in the community, you know, those
Yeah.
kind of jobs, the hands-on jobs.
Yep.
You know.
The direct
I'm,
services.
Yeah, I'm glad the tribe is, you know, sharing, you know, hiring people, and getting them to learn skills, you know, as they're working there too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Do they have plumbing and?
They're starting to learn plumbing and stuff
Mm.
like that, you know. I'm not sure if they do any work orders or stuff like that,
Mm-hmm.
but for their own facilities, you know, they got more facilities than everybody tribe and or TDX and
Mm-hmm.
city stuff like that. I think they got more houses, you know.
Any regrets? Yeah. Any regrets? Mm.
Know that I could think of.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah. Anything you want to share? Is there like anything that we missed or?
I live here because this is my home, you know, and anytime I'm away, you know, can't be gone too long. That was torture having to leave the island, you know, for 9 months out of the year when I was in high school. That was torture and stuff. And so being away too long, you miss out on the good life, living out here, you know, and you can't always be a complainer if you're gonna live in a community like this, you know. If you're gonna complain, try to do something to make it better, you know, to help your community get better.
Mm-hmm.
Get more involved. If you want something better than I can give you, you know, get more involved. Teach me it or something, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Ask somebody to teach you this or, you know. But don't ask me to teach you guitar because I don't have the patience for that.
Yeah. Well, thanks. This was a good visit.